bim 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 bam. Bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. You might notice I'm up here by myself tonight. I told Kira that's perfectly okay. I'll get the congregation to sing. So you're on tonight. We're going to begin our service, though, with lighting our Shabbat candles on page 2. Tanya is going to do the honors for us, page 2 in our prayer books. There you are.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher ki. Wait, am I saying this wrong?
Asher Kichanu.
Asher kichanu. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvotav betzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Sorry about that.
Amen. Thank you. Page 3, we continue. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Page 10, we continue. The top of the page. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is for us to be together tonight on Shabbat. Thank goodness it's Friday, as the Torah says. Not quite in those words, but it's Shabbat, it's the weekend, so we can relax, we can be with one another, we can welcome in the weekend, the holiest time of the week. We're going to continue now with a period of quiet to help us to transition into the week, period where we can let go of a little bit anyways of our anxieties, of our burdens, things that might be causes of stress in our lives, our work or our school, whatever it happens to be. We can let all of that become a bit smaller as we enter into Shabbat. We continue quietly. And as we come together as a kahila, as a community, to enter into Shabbat, we have our minhag, our custom, that we can share things with one another, significant events, moments, perhaps from this past week, perhaps that we're looking forward to in the week ahead. Anybody would like to share any special news? Would love for you to do so. Michael. Congratulations. Obviously to your daughter, but also to you and Tanya. Happy birthday on Monday. Yay, August birthdays. Asher. Oswald came to school today. Nice. Ezra. Okay, you can think about it. Yes, Hudson, 1 week next Shabbat. Hudson's going to be called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. So he's going to have a little bit of warm up tonight by helping to lead a few of our prayers. Ezra, do you remember what you were going to say? Oh, it's exciting. All right. Okay. We're going to continue to welcome in Shabbat on page 20 in our prayer books with Lecha Dodi. We'll do the first and the last verse. Shamor v'zachor, and the final one, Boi v'shalom. When we get to that final verse, verse 9, at that time, everyone's invited to rise and to face the entrance to welcome the Sabbath bride. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the song, particularly the first verse, because it relates to this week's Torah portion. It says, Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, which means shamor, which means keep, v'zachor, which means and remember, b'dibor echad, in one word. Now that's referring to something that's not quite clear, but it's referring, just by reading it is clear, but it's not clear just by reading it. It's referring to the fact that the Ten Commandments are printed a few different times in the Torah, and they're not exactly the same each time. So when the Ten Commandments are first introduced in the book of Exodus, Moses goes up Mount Sinai, gets the Ten Commandments. It says, Zachor et Yom HaShabbat, which means remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy, and on and on and on. Don't do anything you're not supposed to do. Deuteronomy, which is another time, it's actually the third time we get the Ten Commandments, but Deuteronomy, which is this week's Torah portion, doesn't say that. It switches a word to shamor, which doesn't mean remember the Sabbath day. It means keep the Sabbath day. You could say, well, what's the difference? On the one hand, it might just be a scribal, I won't call it an error, I'll call it a scribal variation between Exodus and Deuteronomy. If you look at the song, though, where it says Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, this song is referencing kind of a traditional Jewish commentary to try and reconcile why is it different between Deuteronomy and Exodus. Meaning, if Moses has stone tablets and something's carved on the tablets, it says one thing in our minds. There's a mystical tradition, so take it for what it's worth. There's a mystical tradition that says people are limited to how many words they can say at one time. Doesn't matter how fast you speak, only one word can come out of your mouth at a time and have it be intelligible to people around you. God is under no such restrictions. God can say 2 words at one time. Moses might be limited in his writing abilities, his ability to transcribe it, but God can say 2 words at once, and God said 2 words at once. One is keep, one is remember. The differences are, on Shabbat, we refrain from doing some things, like working, but we also go out of our way to do other things, like come together as a community or as a family or friends. We're here in temple partially because it's Shabbat. We want to be together. So Shabbat could be understood as we avoid some things, but we go out of our way to do other things. Shamor v'zachor. It's why we have 2 Shabbat candles. It's the same reference as what's in our prayer book and what's in this week's Torah portion. Why do we have 2 Shabbat candles? Because the Shabbat command is repeated twice, each time worded a little differently, each time understood a little bit differently. We want to make sure that we rest We want to make sure that we come together. We want to make sure that we avoid certain things on Shabbat. We want to make extra special efforts, not the opposite of avoid, to make sure that certain things happen, like we spend time with people that we care about. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Okay, page 20, L'chadodi. L'chadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, L'chadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Hishmianu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem ultiferet v'litila. L'chadodi. L'chadodi likra kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela, L'chadodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise, verse 9. Bo'i v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha uv'tzo'ala, Toch emunei am segula, Bo'i chala, bo'i chala. L'chadodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likra kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. We continue on page 26 with Chatzi Kaddish. Please remain standing. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, B'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, Bagala, bagala, uv'izman kariv, Ve'imeru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba Mivorach, Le'alam u'la'amei almaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, Ve'ishtabach, V'itba'ar, V'itramam, Ve'yitnaseh, V'itadar, V'italev, V'italal, Shemei de Kudusha Brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran be'alma, Ve'imeru, Amen. Page 28. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. We read together on page 31, the top of the page. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Page 32, together. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel. by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please rise for the Shema on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vaed. Page 37 together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Please be seated. Page 40, we continue on page 40. Mi Chamoches, the song for freedom. Miriam and Moses and all Israel sang it famously in that movie Prince of Egypt, and I think also in some other places as well, like the Torah, or the Ten Commandments. I don't know. Actually, I do know. My high school youth group advisor, and I didn't know this at the time, I learned it later, played Miriam, child Miriam, in the Ten Commandments. That was her that, and she was my youth group advisor. Those two things were her claim to fame in life. She's now a cantor outside of Tampa. But page 40, Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nehedar Ba'kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Oh Sefele, Nora Tehilot, Oh Sefele. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. That line, by the way, the verb is Ga'al. That's what's getting translated as for redeeming. English has a whole bunch of tenses. You know, like when you're in school, you learn that there's the past tense, there's the present tense, and there's the future tense. There's actually like more than that. There's like habitual stuff going on, like things that's ongoing. Like it's not just happening right now, it's things that began happening before, are continuing to happen now, and you expect to happen in the future. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. Ga'al in Hebrew is past tense. Blessed are you, God, for having redeemed Israel. Whatever for redeeming is, I don't know. The Hebrew's past tense. If you look at the Reform prayer book in Israel, it doesn't say Ga'al past tense, it says Goel present tense. Blessed are you, God, you are redeeming Israel. It's such a minor little twist, and it comes with no footnote, it comes with no little asterisks, no little explanatory note. It's kind of like you read it and you understand. And I never spoke to the editor of that prayer book about why the change from Ga'al past tense, which seems to make a lot of sense. We're talking about God taking Israel out of Egypt, the story of Passover. Something that took place, or it's set anyways, 3,500 years ago, minimum. Changing it to present tense could include that, the habitual side of things. That's where I was going with it. The habitual side. Yes, God is remembered for having redeemed, but that doesn't mean that redemption is something that we think only happens in the past. That redemption is something that people can hope for in the present or in the future. Not that I ever look at like kind of cliche quotes on social media, but if I were, I would come across one that said, "What is the difference between hope and optimism?" It said, optimism means that you expect things to go right. Hope means you believe that things can go right if everyone does their part. I don't know if that's actually true or not, like in terms of the dictionary definition of what those words mean. But it's nice to kind of make that distinction that you believe not in with certainty that a certain reality is going to come about, but at least that there's the possibility. And it's also kind of an empowering way to look at it. There is a better future if we come together and work towards it. That to me is something that I find a little bit, I don't know if easier is the right word, but a little bit more believable. The future's promised to nobody, but it's worthwhile for us to do the right thing. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. It's not up to us to desist from trying, but it's not up to us to complete it either. That what we do matters. So, Baruch atah Adonai, Gaal v'goel Yisrael. Blessed are you, God, for having redeemed Israel, for having redemption continue to be a part of our reality. Page 43, we continue. In the middle of the page, together. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, val kol amo Yisrael, va'al Yerushalayim. Page 46, please rise. And Hudson, I'd like to invite you to come on forward. Hudson's going to lead us in Avot ve'imahot and Givurot.
Adonai sifatav titach
Ufia
gitehilatecha.
Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu,
Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hastei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer Umashia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezra Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye hakol
Hakolata
Rav
Rav
Lehoshia
Lehoshia
Morid
Morid
Hatal
Hata
Mechalchel
Mechalkel
Chaim
Chaim
Behesed
Behesed
Mechaye
Mechaye
Hakol
Hakol
Berahamim
Berahamim
Rabim
Rabim
Somech
Somech
Noflim
Noflim
Verofe
Verofe
Holim
Holim
Umatir
Umatir
Asurim
Asurim
Umekayem
Umekayem
Emunato
Emunato
Lishene
Lishenei
Afar
Afar
Michamocha
Michamocha
Baal
Baal
Geverot
Gevurot
Umido
Umidomelach
Melach
Melech
Melech Memid
Memitu
Umchaye
Mechaye
Umatzmiach
Umatzmiach Yeshua
Yeshua V'ne'eman
V'ne'eman
ata
ata
l'hayot
lehayot
ha'akol
ha'akol
Baruch
Baruch
ata
ata
Adonai
Adonai
Mechaye
Mechaye
ha'akol
ha'akol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh Ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela Baruch ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Thank you, Hudson. Page 53 at the top of the page. Days pass and years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Continue on page 61 together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, eternal one, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, mivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. We continue now with silent prayer. Yehiyu leratzon imre fi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri Vegoali, Vegoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Continue now with prayer for healing for people who are not well, people who are sick or hurt. If anybody would like to share a name so that together we might remember them, I invite you to do so, please. Tanya. Thank you. Thank you. Phil. Thank you. Rhonda. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We say, Misheberach Avotenu ve'imotenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, God, we ask that you bless and heal all those who are in need. Bless them with a refuah shlema, complete healing of body and soul. God, be with them, be with those who love them, and those who are providing care for them. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, God, healer of the sick. Together we say, Amen. In the middle of page 253, we continue with our song for healing. Misheberach avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheb imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Amen. Okay, when I was talking about Lechadodi, Shamor Vizachor, two different words in the Ten Commandments, this week's Torah portion is so cool. I brought out the Torah scroll because I want to read a little bit from it. This week's Torah portion has two really well-known passages in it. One is the Ten Commandments. The other is the Shema. So, any one of those by themselves would kind of make the Torah portion memorable. Those two together make it particularly memorable. I brought out the Torah scroll. This is actually our Holocaust scroll. This is the one that I talk about regularly. Written in the year 1780 from Bezenek, town outside of Prague. The Jewish community was destroyed mostly during the Holocaust. This Torah scroll is a remnant, a surviving remnant from that Jewish community. It was discovered in 1964, went from Prague to London, London to Roswell, Georgia. So we have it over here now. Anybody who wants to see both the Torah scroll up close, but also the 10, specifically what's in it this week, the 10 Commandments and the Shema, come on up. I love running to the Torah. It's, we should all be so. Okay, but don't touch it, please. Don't. Yeah. Okay, so come on around. So this was written in the year 1780, and it's in remarkable condition. Hi, Ezra. See what it says right there? Kabed et avicha means honor your father. Yeah, very important. Yeah, it comes next. Kabed et avicha ve'et imacha, and your mom. Honor your father and your mother. Okay, so this right here, from here down to here, this is the Ten Commandments. And then over here is the Shema right here. So we'll take them one at a time. This is a repetition of the Ten Commandments. So it was first given somewhere down there in the book of Exodus. it was 7 weeks from leaving Egypt, getting to Mount Sinai and getting the Ten Commandments. So 7 weeks into their 40-year journey, they first get the Ten Commandments. Of course, the first time doesn't work out so well. Moses breaks them, gets them anew. Anyways, this is Moses telling the story, but recites it almost, but not quite word for word. But considering it was 40 years earlier, he gets it mostly word for word, which is still pretty impressive. So it says, how about we say the blessing over Torah study, yeah? It ends la'asok b'divrei Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who commands us to engage in words of Torah. And that's exactly what this is. It says, Anochi Adonai Elohecha, I am the eternal your God, Asher hotziticha me'eretz Mitzrayim, who took you out from the land of Egypt, Mebeit Avadim, from the house of slavery. Lo yiyelecha Elohim acherim al panai. You shall have no other gods before me. Lo ta'aseh lecha fesel. You shall not make for yourself any sort of image, kol tmuna, any image whatsoever. Asher b'shamayim, that's in the heavens, mima'al, on high. V'asher ba'aretz mitachat, or the earth that is below. Ba'asher b'mayim, or that's in the waters, mitachat, underneath, la'aretz, underneath the earth. Lo tishtachaveh lahem, you shall not bow down to them. Ve'lo ta'avdem, you shall not serve them. Ki anochi Adonai Elohecha, for I am the eternal your God. El kaneh, and God's a little jealous too. Poket avon avot al banim, visiting the sins of the fathers upon their children. Va'al shileshim va'al reveim, unto the third and unto the fourth generation, lisonai, of those who hate me. Va'aseh chesed lalafim, but doing kindness to the 1,000th generation. Lo avai l'shomrai mitzvotai, to those who love me, to those who keep my commandments. Lo tisa et shem Adonai Elohecha l'shav, you shall not take God's name in vain. Ki lo yinakeh Adonai et asher isa et shemo l'shav, for God doesn't pardon taking God's name in vain. Shamor et yom hashabbat l'katsho, you shall keep, shamor, keep, or guard, you shall guard the Sabbath day and its holiness, kasher tzivcha Adonai Elohecha, as the eternal your God commands you. Sheshet yamim ta'avod, 6 days you shall work and do the daily grind. The asita kol mlachtecha, you shall do everything your boss tells you to do, or your customer. The Yom Hashvi'i Shabbat Ladonai. Thank goodness that it is Shabbat. On the seventh day, Shabbat, it is a Shabbat for God, Elohecha, the eternal your God. Lo ta'aseh kol melacha ata uvincha. You shall do no work. Ata, you, uvincha, uvetecha, or your sons or your daughters, your children, va'avdecha, ve'amatecha, your male and female servants, v'shorcha, v'chamorcha, v'kol behemtecha, all the sorts of different animals that be working for you, the gercha asher bisharecha, or the sojourner, the migrant that is in your gates, the stranger that's in your gates, lema'an yanuach avadecha va'amatecha kamocha, for they, your servants, your male and female servants, shall rest alongside with you. V'zacharta ki eved hayita, you shall remember that you were servants, be'eretz Mitzrayim, in the land of Egypt. V'yotzi'acha Adonai Elohecha, the eternal your God brought you out, misham, from there. B'yad chazaka uvizro nituya, with an outstretched and a mighty arm. Al kain tzivcha Adonai Elohecha la'asot et yom haShabbat. Therefore, the eternal your God is commanding you to observe Shabbat. Kabed et avicha ve'et imacha. You shall honor your father and your mother. Ka'asher tzivcha Adonai Elohecha, as the eternal your God is commanding to you. Leman yarichun yamecha, and therefore your days will be lengthened. Ve'lema'an yatev lecha, and it shall go well for you. Al ha'adama, upon the land, asher Adonai Elohecha natan lach, that the eternal your God is giving to you. Lo tirtzach, don't murder anybody. Velo tinaf, don't have an affair. Lo tignov, don't steal other people's things. Velo ta'ane bira'acha achav, don't bear false witness. Don't lie about your neighbor. Velo tachmod asher re'acha, you shall not covet that which is your neighbor's. Velo tata bayit re'acha, their house, sadeh, their field, the avado, the amato, the people that work for them, soro, the hamaro, their animals, their farm animals, the whole asher lira'acha, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. That's the Ten Commandments. The Shema. Just want to point out a couple things. This is just like what it looks like in our prayer book, minus a few things. The line Baruch Shem Kavod is not in the Torah. It says Shema Yisrael, and then it goes on to V'hafta et Adonai Elohecha. No Baruch Shem Kavod. That is meant to be a response to what is being called out. There's a midrash that says the first people to say Shema Yisrael were actually Jacob's children when he was dying. So Shema Yisrael doesn't refer to Israel the people, it refers to Israel the person, because Jacob was also renamed Israel. So the kids are saying when he's dying, Shema Yisrael, listen up, Dad. And then they say the rest of the Shema. And then he responds with his last words, Baruch Shem Kivod, and it's barely a whisper because it's his final words. The ayin, which is this letter right here, and the daled, which is this letter right here, are bigger than the other letters. If you put them together, ayin and daled, they form their own word, which means aid, which means witness. That by saying Shema, what we're doing is we're bearing witness to God. Yeah, so Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai Echad. The easy translation is one, and that's a good way to translate it, but it's actually been a source of debate. How do you translate the word Echad? Anyone who knows how to count in Hebrew, Echad, Shtaim, Shalosh, thinks that's a pretty easy way to translate one, except Maimonides, in his true to how difficult of a person he probably was in life for the people around him, lived 800 years ago, translates it as unique, not one. God is not just one, as though there could have been two, there just happened not to be. There could have been three, there just happened not to be. Really, there's just one. God is unique, meaning God is unlike anything or anyone else. Maimonides kind of extends that to say, God is so different from anyone else that language fails us. That the best we can say about God and still hope to be accurate is to say God is. You start saying things like God is wise, that's wonderful, except we also say the same thing about King Solomon. And God is not King Solomon, even more so. It's not like if you put a test in front of them where Solomon might be a B student, God's an A student. It's a wholly different, God is wholly different from anything. So Maimonides doesn't translate Echad as one, translates it slightly different to say God is unique. Everything, with the exception of this piece of plastic and the nails that go into it, is organic material. So obviously the wood, it's written on parchment, which is leather, basically. It's animal skin. I'm just rolling it to where it's sewn so you can see. You can see it on the outside better than the inside because of how it's done. But it's sewn with, it's like, it's, what's the word? Thank you, sinew. It's like an animal product. It looks like thread, but it's not string. But everything on here is an animal product, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's immediate. There's two reasons not to touch this side of the parchment. One is I was taught like the scroll is so sacred you don't want to touch it. Of course, if you ever see a scribe work on a Torah scroll, their hands are all over it. It can't not be. But then there's the more practical, which is, we're reading from a scroll that's from 1780, and if we want to keep it going another few hundred years, the oils on our hand are going to do it no favors. So, yeah, yeah.
All right, so the Torah portion that we do the afternoon of Yom Kippur is also the 10th.
You're Yom Kippur
You're-
afternoon
No,
expert.
I'm not no expert. But my question is, because the way it, at least the English translation that we've had for that 10 Commandments is about the keeping the wages overnight and tipping the scale with the hand, did we read it? Was that, no, it's a little bit different,
Mhm.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the reading is the earlier version, right?
Here, it's, do I have it? I don't have the Yom Kippur prayer
That's
book.
okay, I just was
Right
wondering,
here.
because I know, every year I went and I. read
Yeah,
in
is it over
English,
here? Yeah, no, we don't have it up here.
All about, not leaving the edges of the fields for the poor.
Yeah, don't do that. It's, I'm trying to remember, I'm blanking. It's Leviticus, right? Yeah, so that's not the Ten Commandments. Nope. Much of what's said overlaps with the Ten Commandments,
Okay.
but it's not the Ten Commandments. It's its own thing. Yeah.
But it's magical.
Oh, and it's written backwards.
Yeah, oh, I
know.
No, English is written backwards.
But no, they start at the end, right?
Yeah, these.
So, cool thing. So, this is all guesswork, right? Why do some language? One of the questions for linguists and various related academic professions is, why is it that in some parts of the world languages develop going left to right, whereas in other parts of the world it develops going right to left? English versus Hebrew, for example. Like what the human brain you would think might be, is it just like a flip of the coin or whatever? Theory. Assuming that the ratio of lefties to righties is the same over time. Forget about like cultural stigma for a moment. Get rid of cultural stigma. Let's say our brains are programmed roughly in the same ratio over time. If you are chiseling stone, apparently it's easier for a righty to do that going this way than this way. And Hebrew would have been first chiseled in stone before it was ever taken pen to paper or whatever, quill to parchment. Later developed alphabets, if you're using a pen, you want to go the other way. That way you don't smudge the ink. I'm a lefty. People who aren't lefties don't realize this. But every lefty knows exactly what I'm talking about. I haven't even said it yet. You have a ink pen and you're writing in English going this way, the pen leads your hand. So right after you write something, the pen goes, a second later, your hand is going right over it. It's awful.
Fountain pens are bad. I always.
Which is why you see lefties sometimes like writing like this.
Or you turn
It's or you turn your paper, or you do all sorts of weird things, or you do what I do and just smudge the ink everywhere. Hebrew is magnificent to write if you're a lefty. It's wonderful. It's like oh, this is what it's like to be right-handed. It's made for me. You're welcome.
But how do we explain languages that are written vertically?
No idea. Outside my expertise. They didn't teach me that one in seminary. When you come back next week on Saturday morning, Hudson will be reading for us next week's Torah portion. So we'll bring it out again next week, next Saturday morning. I don't think he's going to invite everybody to come up, though, while he's reading. So this was your opportunity. Okay, we're going to continue now with announcements. And Michael, you're up. There you go.
Well, they're long today. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Michael Heldman. Tom Bryant and I are tonight's representatives from the Board of Trustees. So listen up. The first day of our Rockin' Religious School starts this Sunday, followed by our TKC annual picnic at noon. Hope to see you there. On Sunday evening at 5 p.m., Temple Kolemeth is hosting a community memorial service for Leo Frank. Rabbi Holtz and Kira are part of the service, and you are also invited to participate. Next Friday is dinner for families with kids at 5:30, followed by children's Shabbat at 6, and then regular services at 7. Coming up on September 8th is our superhero 5K run in support of our community in Kibbutz Be'ereh. Check the weekly for the link to register as a runner, a sponsor, or to make a donation. And let me just add that if we don't get enough people, we lose money. Okay, so come on out, or at least pay up like you're going to come out. All the high holiday information is now up on the website. Please check it for details. After the service, please return your prayer books to me and then join us in the social hall for the Orneg. And special thanks to Carol Liebman's team for all the tasty treats. Shabbat Shalom. And my daughter got a job.
Thank you, Michael. Page 282, please rise for the Elenu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula liotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Page 291, the top of the page. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were, in the company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and our words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live in our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one, whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. This week we are in a period of Shloshim, a period of mourning for Milton Margulis, Alan Verschell, Lou Grucha, and we're observing Yartzeit for Marvin Monis, Elaine Levinson, Arthur Buck L. Falkenstrom, Judy Goldberg Garber, Rose Dinnerman, Leo Landman, Stanley Goldstein, Miriam Axelrod, and David L. Abrams. If anybody else would like to share a name with us, someone that died either recently or previously at this time of the year? Thank you. Thank you. Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitzkedal v'yitzkedash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach leolam almei almaya. Yitzbarach v'ishtabach v'itba'ar v'tromam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar vitale vitalal shmei kedusha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav hu ya'asei shalom Aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. Together we say, Amen. Please be seated. Page 5, we continue with Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitchanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, V'shabbat kodshecha be'ava uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Amen. And how about we end the same way we began? I apologize, the words are not in the book, but they're bim bam. Shabbat shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. I hope to see you all in the social hall for some treats. Shabbat Shalom.